Todd Chrisley's reaction to Julie Chrisley's post-prison transformation has quickly become one of the most talked about moments surrounding the couple's long-awaited return to the outside world. For more than a year, fans speculated about how the pair would adjust after stepping back into the public spotlight. Julie's physical and emotional changes played a huge part in that curiosity, and Todd's response to seeing her again outside of the walls that separated them for so long has taken on an emotional weight neither of them seems prepared to fully put into words. Julie emerged from prison with a noticeably different presence than the one that viewers of their hit reality show grew accustomed to. Her softer demeanor became sharper, her once polished image gave way to a natural pared-back appearance, and her entire aura suggested a woman who had endured a journey that reshaped her views on life, family, and what truly matters. Her face showed the effects of stress and the resilience that comes from surviving some of the most difficult days of her life. Her eyes, however, carried the same spark that attracted millions of viewers who connected with her warmth, vulnerability, and unwavering devotion to her family. When Todd saw her in person for the first time since she walked out of the prison gates, the moment stood suspended in the kind of silence that says more than any conversation could. Todd, a man known for his sharp wit and sharp tongue, found himself uncharacteristically still. For years he had envisioned how this reunion would unfold, but when it finally happened, none of those imagined scenarios compared to the reality in front of him. Julie, standing there different, yet so completely herself, brought a wave of emotion so powerful it softened every hardened edge that prison life had built around him. Observers close to the couple described the moment as raw and unscripted. Todd's eyes reportedly shifted between shock, admiration, and heartbreak as he took in Julie's changed appearance. He had prepared himself for discomfort. He had prepared himself for sadness. He had prepared himself for the idea that time apart had left its mark. What he had not fully prepared for was the overwhelming sense of pride he would feel when he saw how gracefully Julie carried the weight of everything she had endured. Julie later shared that she felt nervous letting her husband see her after such a long time, believing that the strain of prison would overshadow any familiarity. But Todd's reaction quickly dissolved those insecurities. He stepped toward her with a gentleness that only deep love can produce. His face softened. His shoulders dropped. His patience replaced his usual intensity. For a man who had always valued appearances, he had never been so uninterested in them. All he cared about was that she made it out alive, made it back to him, and carried the same heart he had loved since the beginning. Todd's voice broke when he finally spoke to her, and those who witnessed the moment said his tone reflected a mixture of disbelief, relief, and gratitude. For months, he had struggled with uncertainty about what waited for him outside the prison walls, but seeing Julie rooted him in a way nothing else could. Her changed look reminded him of the reality of their shared story, yet it also reminded him of their ability to survive storms bigger than they ever imagined. He reached out to her, not as the television personality, the businessman, or the public figure, but as the husband who had spent every night holding on to the hope that they would find their way back to each other. What stood out most in Todd's reaction was the tenderness. For a man who built a brand on snappy humor, sarcasm, and flamboyant confidence, he became almost quiet in her presence. He studied her face as if committing it to memory again. He noticed the subtle lines that were not there before, the slight change in her posture, the weight of her experiences pressed into her features. None of this made her less in his eyes. In fact, it made her more. Todd understood that Julie's appearance told the story of a woman who had been tested but had not broken. His admiration for her seemed to grow stronger in that single moment. Their children later revealed that Todd spent hours after the reunion reflecting on how proud he was of Julie's strength. He described her transformation not as a loss of who she was, but as an evolution of who she had become. He marveled at her resilience and spoke openly about how seeing her again gave him a renewed sense of purpose. It reminded him that everything they endured was not just a legal battle, but a personal one that tested the core of their marriage and their identities. He found comfort in the fact that Julie still carried the grace and grounding presence that made their home feel complete. Julie, on the other hand, admitted that Todd's reaction gave her a sense of healing she did not expect. The fear of being seen for the first time after prison weighed heavily on her, but the love in his eyes disarmed every doubt. In that moment, she felt understood, accepted, and embraced. She said that Todd looked at her as though she had returned home in every sense of the word. That look spoke louder than any romantic gesture could. It told her that he saw not only the woman she was but the battles she fought to stand there in front of him. In the weeks that followed their reunion, Todd became fiercely protective of Julie's emotional well-being. He stepped into a role focused not on fame or public perception, but on rebuilding their life as a couple. He encouraged her to rest, allowed her the space to process everything she went through, and reminded her that her value did not lie in her appearance, but in her heart and spirit. For a couple who spent years in the public eye, their reunion happened with a rare privacy that reminded them to focus on each other rather than the world watching them. Todd also expressed a determination to rebuild their future in a way that prioritizes peace, family, and personal healing over the pressures of entertainment and public expectation. Seeing Julie's transformation grounded him and made him reassess what mattered most. The glamorous life they once lived suddenly felt less important than the life they were about to create together, one built on humility, gratitude, and the quiet strength they gained from surviving their darkest chapter. Julie's post-prison look became a symbol of endurance. It told the story of a woman who walked through fire and emerged with a new understanding of her own strength. Todd's reaction to that transformation highlighted a side of him that many viewers rarely witnessed. Beneath the bravado and the humor, he revealed a love that was unshakable. He showed an ability to adapt, grow, and embrace the reality of who his wife became through hardship. His response became a testament to the resilience of their relationship and the commitment they held long before prison came into their lives. Their reunion also reopened conversations about the depth of their bond. Fans who followed their journey from the early seasons of their show always sensed the deep emotional dependency and devotion between Todd and Julie. Their post-prison meeting confirmed that their marriage remained intact through circumstances that could have easily fractured any couple. Instead of breaking them, the experience reshaped them into two people who now recognize the fragility of time and the importance of holding on to each other despite the challenges. As the world watches them reintegrate into a life that looks very different from the one they left behind, Todd and Julie continue to show that their story is not defined by prison or scandal, but by their ability to return to each other with a renewed appreciation. Todd's reaction to Julie's changed appearance was not about shock or sadness, but about reverence. He saw in her the proof of resilience and the strength of the woman he loves. Julie saw in his eyes the affirmation she feared she had lost. Together, they found healing in a moment that spoke louder than any words they could have shared. Their journey forward remains a work in progress, filled with the challenges of rebuilding both their personal lives and their place in the public eye. But the foundation of their reunion, the emotional depth of Todd's reaction, and Julie's courage to step forward, despite her insecurities, form a powerful reminder that love does not fade during distance or adversity. Instead, it deepens when tested. Todd's response became a symbol of that truth, reminding their fans that beneath the chaos, controversies, and cameras, theirs is ultimately a story of two people who refuse to let circumstances dictate the future of their marriage. In the end, Julie's post-prison transformation became more than a change in appearance. It became a catalyst for reflection, for growth, and for rediscovering the emotional core of their partnership. Todd's heartfelt reaction cemented the beginning of a new chapter for them, both a chapter defined not by the past, but by the strength they carried out of it.